Today, you'll be receiving from a message full of God's power to help you become everything that God has created you to be. You know, God sent his son, Jesus, to die for you to have a life of abundance and for you to be an ambassador for him. What does that mean? That your life should represent his goodness. It's time to be about it. Tune in today's message and you'll be blessed.
I used to ask this question all the time. I would see these super successful people, and even sometimes you see this even in the Christian faith. You'll see some super successful people who have done wonderful, marvelous things for God, and they're up here, and then the next thing you know, here comes something, and they're like so far, like it's just super, like how did this happen to this person? And the Lord showed me is that Satan is nothing but he can't create anything, but he tries to pervert it. So as you go higher in God, there's more pressure on you to not just swing away from God, but to swing even further, because the pendulum goes from where it is on the light. If you let it, it will swing to that equal level on the darkness. And that's why you can have people, or you can even yourself, be a supreme follower of God, and if you let your faith go, you can find yourself caught up in stuff you never, ever, 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 ever would have thought would have happened to you. And this is what we have with Elijah. Complete swing. Raising people from the dead, outruns a chariot, and it starts raining, kills all these prophets of Jezebel and that sit at Jezebel's table. This guy is now under a tree and he's suicidal. I'm God's man of power. Bring everybody out here and all the enemies in my table. Bring them out here. Yes, get them out here. Let me make fun of your God. Watch what my God can do. Oh, God, kill me. Look at your neighbor and say, it's time to get off this pendulum. Now, you have to ask this question is, what starts the pendulum? Simply it's this, it's giving into circumstances. An easy thing to do, it's a very easy thing to do. I think if you were to honestly poll everyone in here, they deal with this on a regular basis on some issue. The Bible talks about setting aside that sin that easily besets. You've never fully arrived. There's always higher to go in God. But I think the best way to kind of describe this is a fair weather type person. Now, we see this a lot with our wonderful Detroit Lions. You also can see this right now with the Tigers. We've been doing well, from what I understand. I didn't check today. I know that can change quickly, but, it's really interesting when I married my husband, and, I'm either usually making people laugh at my dad or my husband. Today it's going to be my husband, I think. Hold on, Dad. You never know. But when he first moved here from England, he didn't know anything about Detroit sports or anything. And, I went to University of Michigan, so I'm like, go blue. And I have some people in my life that I love that are MSU fans, and we're going back and forth like green, white, blue. What color is the church? Blue. What color is money? Green. Well, we just going back and forth. And I remember I told my husband, okay, well, you are a Wolverines fan, because we're one. We've cleaved together. Now, he did not care. And, I have people in my life trying to be like, you're going to be a Spartans fan. I'm like, not under my roof. We are one. We have to be in agreement on all things. And they weren't really, when he was in England, they weren't really pushing the NFL in England like they're pushing it now. And so he didn't really care. So I was like, okay, and you're also a Lions fan. And so we bought him some Lions gear. We usually have, somebody in my family has season tickets, which means I have them. And so we would go to some games and, all that kind of stuff. And, that sort of thing. And for those of you who are true Lions fans, you go through that up and down with me where we just upset. Like, who we trade for who? Like, what? Fire the coach, because we like, one day we're going to be great. I hope it happens in my lifetime. But one day we're going to be great, right? Well, my husband was in the store one day trying to buy another team's hat. I was like, what? Because, you know, he got a big Lions jacket. He got the hat. He got the sweatshirt. We hooked him up. And he loved, this is sweet. I like this. He been to Ford Field. He been at the games with it. Forward down the field. Oh, the whole night. You know the song and everything. But he had been to and watched too many games where we just lost. And lost in the dumbest ways. So he was like, oh, I'm not a Lions fan no more because I need to be on somebody's team. I'm a root for Green Bay because they win. I told him, I said, you are a fair weather fan. And he said, okay, call it what you want. I'm getting that. Now, that's just an example of what, if you're not careful, Satan wants to put you on this pendulum. He's okay with your highs because he knows you swinging back if you let him keep you on this pendulum. And one thing we cannot be is be fair weather when it comes to the things of God. While it's looking good and feeling good. That's why when you see people in church and they're praising God, I hope that if you're dancing across the front of this building at praise and worship, that when something hits you between your eyes at home, you dancing at home as well. Because, you know, the thing is, it's when you really want to know what's on the inside of you is when the pressure comes. And you can't be this person where I'm going to serve God while things are going my way. While it looks like my enemies aren't doing well because, yeah, you should have followed God. Look at you now. You want to be like me? You need to apologize first and you need to change your way. But when it's looking like you're the one who's just holding on in faith and look like the people that don't give a care about God that all seem to be prospering, will you stand with God or will you get on that pendulum and run away as a fair weather Christian? Fair weather Christian. When the circumstances of your life are what produce peace in your life, you're in trouble. And for so many of us, it's very easy for us to see that. I remember when I was younger and Brother Hagin was alive, he used to do a camp meeting in Tulsa every year. And I remember going to those camp meetings, and they always had the youth section as well. Well, it was normal occurrence to see somebody get out of a wheelchair. It was a normal. When I went to Rhema Bible Training Center, and we were in, there's something called, I don't know if they still do it, but they had after school, they had prayer school, and then they had healing school. And when we get to healing school, I worked in healing school as a singer, and basically it was one day where the Lord had called out people who had one leg that was shorter than the other. And, you know, I have a thing with feet anyway. I just don't fool with that. Like, don't put your feet near me. Don't put your shoes, the bottom of your shoes on anything. I don't play that. I don't even want to see the socks, none of that. So, you know, we're just sitting over there. We're students. And Jim Hockaday, how many of you have heard of Jim Hockaday? He was running healing school that day. And he said there were a number of people that came up that, you know, kind of limped their way up with one leg shorter than the other. And he said, well, get a chair up here. And he said, well, sit down in the chair. And he said, Michelle, come over here and hold this man's ankles and feet. I was like, no, like, mm-mm. He was like, no, come over here, because I also didn't want to be a part of it, because I was like, what? So anyway, I did it because, you know, I was in the Rhema Bible Training Center. I didn't want nobody calling my dad, like, your daughter is carnal. So I came over there, and he said, now hold the guy's feet. So I had his ankles up, and he was like, hold it up so everybody can see. And I'm like, it's getting closer to my face. It's already in my hand. We got a problem. So I lifted higher, and my hand is like this because this guy had a significantly shorter leg than the other one. And he says, you know, Michelle, you believe the Lord can use your hands? And I'm like, yeah. Jim Hockaday runs behind him and slaps him on the back and says, leg grow in the name of Jesus. Now, I'm watching, there were a couple people in chairs. So he had called all these people up on the stage. So I was the first one. So I'm like, so he be healed in the name, leg grow in the name of Jesus. I'm like, amen. Now I'm watching the next guy, and he's talking, he's almost interviewing each person to ask them how this happened and all that kind of stuff, because prayer school is wonderful because there's no time limit. I'm in healing school, and it was full of people who had 10 days to live, 7 days to live, all that kind of stuff. It was like, you need a miracle, you need it now. So I'm holding it and I'm watching, he's talking, and he said, "Hey, Butler." And I looked, he said, "How's your leg?" And my hand did just like this. His leg grew out in my hand. I was 19 years old. Now, I've been in church all my life, but I ain't never seen nothing like that. Because even if I saw somebody get out of a wheelchair, I'm like, There's always that. The devil will always, well, you know, they probably paid somebody to do that, right? No, this dude's leg grew out in my hand. And I was like, I dropped his feet, not because I was disgusted, which was not the thing to do, to drop the leg. Here, brand new leg, boom. I dropped the leg. Now, it's probably obvious, I'm not a runner, and you never catch me running and shouting up. And if you do, you know. I'm not just one to jump, and I certainly wasn't when I was 19. I jumped off that stage, and I mean, not even the cute shout, y'all. I mean, I was all over the place. I almost hit the wall, the building. I was running, I was screaming, I was crying hysterically, and I was like, wow. I needed to see that. And then the Lord was kind of like, why do you need to see that to praise me like that? And I think that's what the Lord is saying to us. You know, we're living in the last days where we are witnessing the greatest revival. You know, this is the year of the local church. I believe the biggest miracles that you will see will be happening with the local church. That's you. That's you. But I had never seen anything like that, so there was a limit on fully what I could believe.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I want to invite you to subscribe, as well as visit our website at michelleferguson.org. We have some materials there that can help you as you walk through life, live the life that God created for you. As always, I'm Michelle Ferguson, helping you to discover, develop, and celebrate who God has created you to be. See you next time.